A Georgia beauty queen who seemed to be living her best life is now behind bars, accused of the murder of an 18-month-old child.
This is a developing case, and we will be discussing the very sensitive topic of child death and, quite frankly, child murder, to be specific. The victim in question was no more than 18 months old, and his life was apparently cut short by someone who was trusted to care for him. We live in a cruel world where the precious life of an infant doesn't even matter. This case has just opened some of us up to this unfortunate reality. Join us as we take a deep dive into the sinister case of this beauty queen turned infant killer. Is she guilty? What could possibly be the motive of the crime? And perhaps what can be learned from this unfortunate incident? Let's find out. The genesis of this case takes us back to Sunday, the 14th of January 2024. At around 2 p.m. that day, the Georgia Southwestern State University Police Department asked the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to investigate the death of a child. A young boy had urgently been transported to the hospital by his father, but unfortunately, he succumbed to his wounds. The little boy was 18 months old, Jackson Drew, and he arrived at Phoebe Sumter Medical Center completely unresponsive.
According to a press release, hospital staff tried to perform life-saving measures on the boy, but he still died. So far, we don't know his cause of death or many details surrounding it.
This hospital is situated right there in Georgia, and the medical staff implemented life-saving measures in the ER, yet nothing could be done. Little Jackson succumbed to his injuries. At this point, we will lay emphasis again that this is a developing case, so right now, the official autopsy findings could not be accessed. Nobody knows for sure what injuries the victim regrettably suffered before he died. The Georgia Southwestern State University Police Department and the Americas Police Department are assisting the GBI with this investigation, so we believe there will be substantial information about this case in the coming weeks. But there has been speculation going around the media, so for now, we will be running with that. It appears that Jackson had suffered blunt force trauma to the head. This trauma is believed to have caused a skull fracture and, ultimately, a brain bleed. Now we mentioned that Jackson was taken to the hospital by his father. So, let's dive a little deeper there. What is the relationship between the father and son, and how did it all tie into this murder case? We absolutely cannot tell you the name of Jackson's father right now, as there are just too many nicknames and hearsay involved. But the most common names that have been attributed to him are Jonja Julian or Javante. The same also goes for little Jackson, and this is where our story begins. According to the hospital, the little boy's birth certificate identifies him as Romeo Engels, the name his mother put down for him at the time. For some reason, the relationship between these two got so bad that there was some sort of custody battle for little Jackson. His father, Javante, gained full custody and has been taking care of Jackson ever since. You would agree with us that this is pretty uncommon. We dare say it takes a specific kind of mother to be involved in a case before a judge hands over an infant to the father. Was Jackson's mom an addict, or simply unable to provide for him? That is not yet certain, but what we can measure is that Javante has stepped up to be a good father. Information gleaned from the GoFundMe description suggests that Javante made significant life changes for his son and made him the central focus of his life. On this note, you can see why his father went on to change his name. So, while the rest of the family called him Jackson Drew, or JD for short, the GoFundMe page opened in his honor bears the name Jackson Williams. We believe this could be the reason most media outlets are running with the name Jackson Williams. At this point, we will bring up the villain of the story, Trinity Poague. 18-year-old Trinity Poague is a beauty queen who has held the title of Miss Donaldsonville since 2012. Now, this is not to be mistaken for the larger and more popular Miss Donaldsonville scholarship pageant in Louisiana. Donaldsonville is a rather small town in Georgia with a population of just under 3,000. Now, a lot of people seem to comfort themselves by raising questions about the scale of the pageant. You know, calling to question the small size of the town as a reason why Trinity was considered beauty queen material, let alone taking the crown home every year.
Beauty queen to alleged murderer. This Georgia teenager is now accused of killing an 18-month-old toddler during her freshman year of college.
A quick look at her Instagram and you would find that Trinity took great pride in her participation in pageants.
Because oftentimes in these cases, someone comes through, whether it's the person themselves, although she's in jail right now, so I don't know how that would be possible, or a family member, or even Instagram themselves because they don't want to be associated with that, and they will go through and delete murderers or alleged murderers' accounts. So on the screen right now, you'll see a whole bunch of screenshots and everything from her Instagram. And as I'm going through it, you can also see that she is just really proud of herself for these pageants and competing. She seems to have a love for it.
It is evident that she showcased a genuine passion for these events. Technically, you can't have that quick look because that Instagram page has since been put on private. We actually do not expect this Instagram account to remain active for much longer, because we know that social networks do not particularly like to be associated with known criminals and alleged murderers. Who knows, before the account can be taken down, friends or family members with access to her social network accounts could choose to delete the accounts. Trinity is a freshman at Georgia Southwestern State University. Notably, this is a university environment with strict rules regarding dorms and visitation. These rules are outlined in the student handbook, and they include restrictions on strangers in dorms past specific hours. The rules also extend to limitations on consecutive and monthly guest stays. Notably, guests must be accompanied by the host when walking around the hallways and the campus. Allegations, sourced from individuals on campus who have shared information on social media, suggest that Javante and his son violated these rules during their visits to Trinity. Apparently, Trinity had been in a relationship with Javante for approximately a year, but they opted to keep their connection discreet. Irrespective of Javante's exact age, if they began dating a year ago, Trinity would have been 17 years old. This is a whole other problem on its own. But today's problem is the murder of little Jackson Williams. Considering her age, his role as a single father, and a potential age gap, it makes sense why they kept things low-key. Trinity must have loved Javante in her own twisted way. While there are no public photos or videos of them together online, Trinity liked a bunch of his Instagram posts. Notably, Trinity's parents were unaware of her relationship or the fact that Javante was a father and that their daughter was playing stepmother to his child. They did not know about this until the case began circulating via the media outlets. Returning to January 14, 2024, Javante, Trinity, and baby Jackson Williams were together in her dorm. Javante briefly left to get food, entrusting Trinity to care for Jackson. Upon his return, Jackson displayed unusual behavior and quickly became unresponsive. Acting swiftly, Javante rushed out and took his son to the hospital. Interestingly, it was the on-campus police at Georgia Southwestern State University who contacted the regular police department in Georgia. It was this action that initiated the investigation into the death. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, got involved on January 14, 2024, the day the investigation was requested. While detailed investigation specifics remain undisclosed, we know that searches, evidence collection, and interviews were conducted. Allegedly, details about Trinity's phone use emerged. These details suggested that she had made different searches on how to harm a toddler in the week preceding the tragedy.
What we do know, though, is that Poague has been charged with a couple of things: felony murder, aggravated battery, and first-degree cruelty to children. Again, we don't know the specifics as of right now, but what could be some of the things that would lead to those charges?
Well, it's important to explain. Cruelty to children first degree is a felony, and that one just means some sort of pain and suffering has happened to the child. What I think is a giveaway here is that aggravated battery. That's a harsh charge. Of course, we have the felony murder. I'm not disputing that. But what I read into it, and believe me, I'm just reading into it, is this baby could have been shaken. So there's your aggravated battery. Could have been smothered. There's your aggravated battery. Aggravated battery requires damage, like in an adult would be like a shoulder being dislocated, a broken nose, something substantial that then makes it become aggravated battery. So when I hear that charge happening here, I'm only guessing and assuming that something happened to this baby, obviously, that caused her to be killed. I'm not fighting you on that, but what was that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? What damages were happening here? And I just assume and read into that charge that that means something like this, a shaken baby, and I know he's 18 months, but you can still shake. Something happened here.
Gathering insights from those allegedly connected to the situation is not the most reliable source of information. So we are prepared that some of the information we are giving out right now is false. That said, the details of the case that we can say have been confirmed center around a couple of Trinity's interviews. When questioned by the police department regarding little Jackson Williams, she consistently claimed he fell off the bed. However, there was a flaw in this narrative. Yes, she was alone in the dorm room with him and could very well be the only one who knows what happened, but still, the injuries diagnosed at the hospital tell a different story. They simply were not inconsistent with a child falling from a bed. Jackson experienced blunt force trauma to the head. If you're a parent and have a niece or a nephew, then you know that mishaps can happen when a baby rolls off a bed or a couch. In that case, typically the babies are fine. However, it's advised that they seek medical attention to ensure their well-being due to the fragility of their bones. In essence, children falling from beds usually result in minor issues, not blunt force trauma, brain bleeds, or skull fractures. This just does not happen. In Jackson's situation, it's evident he did not merely fall off the bed. Following the confirmation that this was a murder case, Trinity was arrested on the 19th of January 2024. She is now facing 3 charges: felony murder, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children in the 1st degree. She was then incarcerated in the Sumter County Detention Facility in Georgia and has since been held without bond.
We do know is that there are some pretty serious charges against the defendant here, Trinity Poague. Does that mean there's some pretty solid evidence to back up this murder charge she's facing?
The way I look at it, yes, there was enough to get to the arrest and hold her in jail with no bond, and no one's filed a motion to set bond yet. Now it's still early. And that's what we're going to do. If I was the lawyer at this point, I would go ahead and start digging a little bit and see, how did we get here? And what would make me think she's bondable, and we'll find out, is if the evidence is a little scant. And we don't know yet. We don't know what statements she made. I think the key part here is what text messages she texted family and friends. And then when law enforcement came to her, what did she say? And then, of course, you've got video surveillance. What happened, where, and when? And does that get corroborated with what she says in her statements? So if there's other things that she did that didn't make sense, that's going to make her stay in there. And as you already have seen, the GBI is investigating this. And to get to the point of arresting somebody, they do have some evidence. I just don't know what it is yet.
A potential motive, as allegedly stated by Javante, is Trinity's supposed jealousy of Jackson and his relationship with his father. It is unfathomable that jealousy could be a motive in this case. Imagine being jealous of the attention that a father gives to his son. Javante has allegedly confirmed that Trinity often got jealous, but he never imagined for a second that she could act on it. As unfathomable as you may think this is, sadly, this kind of senseless murder cases involving child victims have been popping up more recently. The similar case that comes to mind is that of Iris Alfera. Iris was an 18-month-old from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, who tragically lost her life last June. During visitation with her father and his girlfriend, Alicia Owens, Iris became unresponsive after her father briefly left for a grocery store run. Subsequent investigations revealed that Alicia had been feeding Iris harmful substances such as batteries, water beads, and finally, the harmful substance that sealed her fate, acetone. Feeding acetone to a precious little child is appalling, but sadly, that is another ongoing case that is eerily similar to this one. Just like Trinity had been researching ways to kill little Jackson, Alicia had been planning her sinister crime for months. Alicia had been conducting online searches for months, starting from February 2023 up until June, when she finally succeeded in killing Iris. She was exploring toxic substances for children. You might try to rationalize this behavior, make excuses like maybe she did those searches afterward, or she searched them up to know first aid measures. These are logical reasons to make that kind of search, but in Alicia's case, she was not trying to identify potential hazards for babies or look for solutions in the wake of an accident. Her actions went far beyond caution. She fed Iris nail polish remover, and before that, she had somehow given her batteries, a screw, and about 20 water beads. All these items were found in Iris's system during a previous hospitalization. It is sickening that she made so many attempts to kill a little child. At no point did she stop to think that she was doing something wrong. This disturbing trend of girlfriends harboring jealousy towards their significant other's babies is unfortunately real. We mean, it is common sense to avoid dating someone with a child if you would not be comfortable prioritizing the child. A worthy partner should prioritize their child. Doesn't this mean that they have a good character and are capable of care? Considering this would be the thought process of a normal and sane person, then maybe the people who do these types of things might not actually be sane. Try as we might, we may never understand the thought processes of individuals like this. Going through all the rules for the pageants, we have observed that they have all highlighted their top rule is to be a good and moral person. Participation is restricted for individuals with ongoing legal cases, those who are pregnant or have recently given birth, and those with a history of criminal activity. If the charges she's facing do turn out to be true, you can imagine that Trinity will never compete again. Lastly, we have noticed that there has been a focus on Trinity's appearance, rather than her character and evil actions. Hateful comments about her appearance, questioning pageant standards, and derogatory remarks have surfaced on Instagram and TikTok. While acknowledging the undeniable fact that she faces murder charges, we would like to emphasize that criticizing her appearance should not be the focus. Instead, the attention should be directed towards her character and poor judgment. In the meantime, Jackson's family has asked for privacy at this time. Javante is understandably grieving the loss of his son right now, and most likely also grappling with the betrayal from someone he trusted. As a result, he has not yet addressed the public or said anything official, since the case took on a life of its own. We hope that this case develops quickly so that justice, at the very least, can be served.
Investigation. Poague was charged on January 19th.
What normally happens in an investigation is when it's murder, rape, kidnapping, these horribly bad charges that you won't get bond at the magistrate level, you're going to have the investigators take some serious time to make sure that there's some merit to these charges before issuing arrest warrants. And this happened rather in quick succession. So you got to wonder, is there some inculpating evidence here that's real obvious? And we don't know yet. But I have a suspicion there was something there that made it really, I won't say obvious, the wrong word, but made it clear that they have enough to issue an arrest warrant fast. And I don't know what that is yet, because normally they'll wait. They would want to wait to get some more medical records. They want to wait and get some reports made. This happened very quick. From what I read, it was January 14th to like January 19th, something like this. Very quick incident to arrest. There's something here that made them run and arrest her and get her off the streets.
After her arrest, Poague was booked in the Sumter County Jail and is being held without bond.